You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hello, and welcome to episode 158 of the Cosmic Soul Forge podcast.
Welcome to the Soul Forge, a place of silent mystery, quiet contemplation, and outright mayhem. Join your host, Shawn as he guides you through the adventures of living. Together, we'll talk about life and love, sex and dating, joy and heartache, memories and loss, and so much more. Don't worry, it's not nearly as pretentious as it sounds. Get ready for life, the universe, and everything on the Soul Forge.
Hey gang, welcome back to another episode of Soul Forge, so to speak. This week what I have for you is a special treat. This is going to be the inaugural episode of the Cosmic Pizza podcast. You're going to hear it in its entirety. What this is, if this is your first time listening to the Soul Forge podcast, this is an unusual episode. If you've been following along and paying attention for the last few months, you know that my good friends Paul and Dan from the UK and I have decided to venture out on our own and do a three-man podcast, because if there's one thing this world needs, it's another three white guys podcasting about things and stuff. Now, having listened to me for the last 6+ years on Rusted Robot, almost 3 years here on Soul Forge, if you've listened to me and Paul on Sci-Fi Waffle or Dan over on Temporal Trek, you pretty much know what our personalities are like, the kinds of things that we're going to talk about. But for the most part, it's going to be unique and different. It's going to be a lot like an amalgamation of Rusted and Soul Forge, but a unique spin. It'll have its own flavor, and that's why we call it Cosmic Pizza, because cosmic encompasses pretty much everything in the universe. Pizza, everybody likes pizza. Different slices, different flavors, different topics, different toppings. So you never know what you're going to get. It might be geeky one week, it might be scientific the next, it might be a slice of life, it could be anything really. Almost like the Soul Forge, but with 3 hosts. Every week we're going to switch out who's going to be the main host. This episode here, the first episode that we did, I took the hosting reins. Paul is doing all the editing because, of course, Dan edits Temporal Trek, I edit Rusted and Soul Forge. So we're splitting the duties up quite evenly. It's a lot of fun. It's very nice. Hope you'll subscribe. It's on all the platforms. You'll actually hear most of this in the episode that I'm going to play for you here. But before we get into that, I'm going to play a promo for another podcast here on the ESO Network. It's the Watchathon of Rassilon. I believe that's a Doctor Who podcast. Do you like Doctor Who? If you do, you'll love Watchathon of Rassilon. So go ahead and listen to this promo, and then I'm going to go ahead and just let you listen to the first episode of Cosmic Pizza Podcast, which came out June 24th. If you're listening to this podcast, the day it's released on Thursday, it's the 25th of June. Maybe you've already heard this. Maybe you haven't. If you haven't, I hope you'll subscribe. Hope you love it. Hope you leave reviews. All the things. I'm not going to come back at the end, so there's no and remember this week. Just take care, enjoy, listen, and we'll talk to you next week.
Hi, I'm Joe Heath.
And I'm Tony Heath.
And we've been watching Doctor Who for 5 years.
So that makes us experts.
Probably.
I once heard a guy say that he listened to a 4-hour podcast by an expert, which made him an expert.
So, we're experts.
Definitely experts.
And you can be an expert too!
All you have to do is listen to
the Watchathon of Rassilon!
It's a podcast
that we make
together,
sometimes with friends.
Listen to it!
Or else!
The Watchathon of Rassilon.
A proud member of the ESO Network.
Welcome to the Cosmic Pizza Podcast, the show of all sorts that sorts all by serving up a slice of life. What is your order? Ah, I see. The special it is. We will be there to deliver ASAP. Cosmic Pizza Podcast, special delivery. Hello, and welcome to your special delivery from the Cosmic Pizza Podcast. I'm Shawn, and with me today are Paul and Dan, and we're here to serve you a slice of life in every show. And today's pizza contains the following slices. We're going to tell you who the heck we are and what we're all about. So who the heck are we, guys? My name's Shawn. I'm here in Canada. Dan, where are you?
I'm in Chatham in Kent in UK, down the south bit.
And Paul, where are you?
I'm slightly further north in the UK. I'm near the good old city of Liverpool, just across the water from there. My name is Paul. I am 55 years old. I am single. Oh, no, sorry, I'm not single. I'm married. Hope my wife isn't listening to this.
Quickly deletes Tinder profile.
So, Shawn, what's your podcasting history?
As a matter of fact, I do have quite the history, Paul. You and I actually recorded the Sci-Fi Waffle podcast in the years 2015 and 2016. We did about 40 episodes. But before that, I created in 2014 the Rusted Robot podcast, which is still going strong. And I'm also currently hosting the Soulforge podcast, which I created in 2017.
And it's still going strong now.
It is still going strong now. I'm about to record episode 155 after we record this. And Dan, I hear you also do a podcast.
I do indeed, or at least attempt to do one. I am currently doing a Star Trek podcast because I wanted to be original. And it's a slight different twist on normal Star Trek rewatch. Instead of doing chronological order in Stardate order, so Enterprise onwards, or TOS, the original series from the 1960s onwards, I'm doing a complete chronological rewatch of every episode as if it was happening in history. So from the Big Bang all the way to the end of existence by scene, not by episode. And it's a ton of fun to edit.
I can imagine, because it's quite ambitious. It's kind of my fault you started podcasting.
It is.
Paul,
it's all your fault.
It is all my fault. And Paul, you had a history before our Sci-Fi Waffle podcast, did you not?
I did. I was very nicely asked to go onto the 10 Forward podcast, which is part of the TrekMate network of podcasts, hosted by Sina Alvarado. She rather graciously asked me to come aboard once I'd sent in a couple of video clips and various things. And I was on there from episode 69 up until it sadly passed away whenever it was a few years ago. Cracking podcast, really enjoyed it. We spoke to quite a few different people. We spoke to authors. We did interviews. We did a couple of segments which may see their way onto this podcast, you never know. A Desert Island Trek was one of them, where you would pick 3 episodes of your favourite podcast, favourite episode of Star Trek, and tell everybody why you think they deserve to be saved if you were stranded on a desert island. Yes,
I was on that one of those episodes, and it was a lot of fun, I got to tell you.
Yes, and then after that, alongside that, I created the Pathfinder audio drama comedy, dramedy, I suppose you could call it, which was a really strange parallel universe of my mind, along with Star Trek and various other characters thrown in along the way with very bad voice work, and from me anyway.
Oh, it was quite entertaining.
It was funny, and it was very self-centered. It was very centered around the TrekMate website. There was a few people from other podcasts on that network that came in and did some voices. But I wish I'd sort of carried that on, but it took quite a long time to put together and edit and to create. So I thought I need to pack it in. But you never know. I might get back to it one day and do something a little bit more serious, maybe.
And so
Pathfinder A, be the next.
Yes, that would be good.
Yeah, that's the Canadian version. Pathfinder, eh?
Right on. Yeah, so not too long ago, the three of us were actually recording an episode for Temporal Trek, Dan's podcast, and we thought, you know what, our chemistry is so amazing. Why don't we create our own brand new separate podcast where we talk about, well, what are we going to talk about, boys?
Well, I think we can sort of... The title of the show gives a little bit of it away. I mean, the cosmic. It's going to be a bit sciencey, a bit geeky.
But it could be anything.
But it's also, it envelops everything. The cosmic, part of it also encompasses the whole universe. So we could be talking about ordinary, everyday life things. In the future, I believe we have some ideas for interviews, don't we, Dan?
We certainly do. There's plenty of interviews that we could be going through. There's certainly an episode coming up where we're going to be talking to some comedians, some stand-up comedians, also improv actors. I believe we've got one lined up with some authors. We've also got a few interviews in the pipelines with directors, collectors, people of all different spheres of life.
That's right, and there's a few people we'd like to get in touch with in the future. We will obviously keep that to ourselves until we can get them confirmed. But if there's anybody out there who would like to come on and talk about anything in general, about what they do for a living, how they got into it, as Dan said there, we've got a couple of comedians and improv actors coming on. If there's anybody else out there with a similar sort of background, then by all means, give us a shout, and we'd love to have you on. If you've got anything you want to promote, by all means, come on. We're not proud. Plug your show, plug your your podcast or whatever. The more people that come on, the better.
There's almost no topic off limits.
No,
that's true.
And don't we have an email address where they could reach us?
They do. It's at cosmicpizzapodcast@hotmail.com.
Perfect. So, listeners, get your typing fingers ready. Send us an MP3. Send us an email. We just want to hear from you. cosmicpizzapodcast@hotmail.com.
They can also search for us on all the social media as well. We're on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We are on Tumblr. We are on Instagram. We've even got a TikTok for some reason. I have no idea why. But, as someone on your podcast, Shawn, said, maybe we will turn into 14-year-olds. But we've got all kinds of social media. So do a search on Cosmic Pizza Podcast. You'll find us. Maybe just throw a rock out of a window, something like that. I'm sure it will get to us somehow.
Okay, I think that pretty much wraps up the first episode, doesn't it, boys?
I think it does.
Yes, this has been our introduction, a little bit of witty banter, a little bit of our backgrounds, who we are. Tune in next time, though, for a real episode. Anything else we can tell them before we go, guys?
Well, actually, what we didn't say is how often we're going to release this. So the idea is we will release one episode every 2 weeks. If this takes off and gets any better, maybe we'll go to every week. If it gets really bad, maybe we'll go to one a month. We'll see how it goes. But the idea is a fortnightly release date. We've obviously done this one. There's going to be released, I believe, on the 24th, I think. We will be every 2 weeks after that.
Sounds good. We're looking forward to being your hosts. Today we've been your deliverers, so please leave a tip at the door by subscribing for future deliveries, rate and review our service, and we hope you come back for more helpings next time. You can find us, as we mentioned, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and TikTok by searching for the Cosmic Pizza Podcast. If you'd like to send us an MP3 file, you can email us at cosmicpizzapodcast@hotmail.com, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Cosmic Pizza Podcast.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Who's going to be the host of this episode?
You know what? I'll do this one.
Oh, okay. Good.
Because, I'm used to it.
Yes, I'm rusty.
And I don't know. I don't have a lot of other topics for the ones going forward, so... Welcome to the Cosmic Pizza Podcast, you bastards. Something like that.
Perfect. Right, done.
That's it. That's the intro. Goodbye, losers. Then there's the outro.
That's right. And I think we'll tag team it. We'll all help each other out as the host anyway.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So it's
just that one person sort of takes the initiative. They can be like the chairman. They say, "Yeah, I'm going to talk about this," so you talk about that, and then say, "Right, what do you think, Dan?" And then Dan takes it and says, okay, that's great. What do you think, Paul? And then at the end of it, they can do they can then decide when it finishes, because they can say, right, okay, we've been your delivery guys today. What?
Okay, and are we going to end with an and remember or not? Because that's a lot of work to come up with a new one every week.
It is, yeah. I wasn't going to, but if we can think of something funny to say, something might come to us. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah, okay. It's not required.
If we say, what did we learn today in today's episode? And I say, well, we learned that Shawn has so many lovers that he can't keep hold of any, and whatever. It's something hilarious like that.
Hey, that hurts because it's true.
Yeah, we found that Shawn likes to sorge his foal. Sorge his foal?
I do what now?
I'm sure there's a service for that. You have to pay for it, though.
I think I should have had a drink before
I think so.
He likes to forge his soul in a robotic way or something like
that. And today's pizza contains the following slices. We're going to tell you who the heck we are and what we're all about. How was that?
You said about and not a boat.
Well, I said it properly.
Yes, you said it the English way.
We're clearly having an effect on you, Shawn.
I think you must be.
Yes, my youngest lad said to me the other day. I said, "Oh, we're on all of the Twitters and the Facebooks, and we've even got a TikTok." He said, "How old are you?" I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, what age group are you looking at?" I said, "Well, anybody really." He said, "Yeah." I said, "Are you 14?"
No, if we were 14, we'd have Snapchat.
And if we were any older, we'd have Tinder.
Yes, I haven't set up that at all. No.
Cosmic Pizza Podcast on Tinder.
I like pepperoni, a bit of pepper. I do like some anchovies. Interests are thick crust, short crust.
Cheese stuffed crust.
I like it spicy.
Okay, I think that pretty much wraps up the first episode, doesn't it, boys?
I think it does.
Yes, I think that's probably a good place to stop.
This has been our introduction, a little bit of witty banter, a little bit of our backgrounds, who we are. Tune in next time, though, for a real episode. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Soul Forge Podcast. Your support is greatly appreciated, and we hope you'll tune in again next time. Remember that you can visit soulforgepodcast.com for all of our social media links, and don't forget to share the show with everyone you know. The Soul Forge Podcast is your best source for living your best life.
Think about it.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping through Amazon.com or the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.